Now, first of all, let me congratulate the School of Communication and Information Science and the placement cell of University of Kerala for giving me, organizing such a program. And I'm also thankful to them for giving me an opportunity to address the professionals as well as the students in these two areas. And the placement cell and their respective schools deserve congratulations, especially because this program was started by other universities long back. Even in the universities of Kerala, I had the opportunity to deliver 1 or 2 lectures. If I remember correctly, it was in 2017. Every department was given an amount by the IQAC to organize one-day seminar on the similar topic, that is the current trends and emerging frontiers of their respective disciplines. And I was invited as the chief speaker, and I had the opportunity of addressing the students for continuously. That is an face-to-face session. That is way back in 2017. So what I am saying is that I congratulate the university for taking up such an initiative. Okay, now coming to the topic that I am going to deal with today is employability and career potential of LIS professionals. And employability, perhaps many of you may be familiar, but I will also be dealing with that. But before that, let me give an overview of the emerging frontiers of library and information science. And so just to start with, everybody knows that no society can advance beyond a certain point without effective access to its storehouse of information. And the libraries emerged in the scene as storehouses of information. And naturally, in order to sustain that momentum, a body of knowledge dealing with the theory, techniques, and procedures involved in the accumulation and the transmission of information was developed. And there was different names for this particular body of knowledge. At different stages in the development of this body of knowledge, it had different emphasis. And according to the shift in emphasis in each stage, this body of knowledge was known by different names. When this knowledge was predominantly centered on the use of books, it was called as librarianship or library science. Why I have used both the terms? Because the term library science began to be used from 1876 onwards. In fact, the library science owes its origin definitely to the 19th century, towards the last quarter of the 19th century. And from then onwards, it came to be known as library science. Till then, it was known as librarianship. Even though librarianship continued up to the 20th century, the term library science assumed more significance afterwards. And then there was a change in its emphasis. That means at that time, and library science was the predominant thing, the emphasis was more on books. Then there arose periodicals, journals, reports, etc. Emerged into prominence, especially with the development in science and technology. And then an offshoot of library science was developed, which came to be known as documentation. And finally, especially in the second half of the 20th century, information became the unit of handling. For example, irrespective of the manifestation of the information, just like book or journals or reports or something like that, emphasis was given information, irrespective of the documentary form. And then this particular discipline began to be called as information science. And information science can be considered as a more current terminology, having wider scope and acceptance. So I have to say, when you say information science, you can say that library science and documentation are rather branches of information science. This is how information science has developed into an all-pervasive discipline. But then there also emerged another term, especially more prevalent in the East European countries, that is known as the informatics. Even though it made its origin in the East European countries, and especially designated by the progenitor of that discipline called the Mikhailov, an information scientist of the earlier Soviet Union. And that emerged as the field of study of scientific communication. Even though information science is more used in, the term information science is more used in the United States and European countries, in the East European countries, especially the Soviet Union and their coteries, the term informatics began to be widely used. Now, the term informatics has assumed a different dimension. As you can see in the slide, which is indicated in red color, now, informatics is considered to be the science of information. That is the practice of information processing and the engineering of information systems. I should say that information science plus information technology, that formed the basis of informatics. Now, in India, the term informatics is more prevalent in the sense of social informatics. It is the study of information and communication in societies. That is how the name has changed over a period of time. And it had informatics, as I told you, has a different moorings. It is embedded with more application of computer science and technology in the handling of information and information science. So, as I said, information science plus information science, of course, includes information technology as part of that, but there is overemphasis of information technology applications in information science, and that began to be called as informatics. And then the term informatics became widespread. Just to bring your attention to the different types of informatics. The use of term informatics is gaining popularity as a suffix for all studies wherein application of computers comes in. And I'm just going to give you a list of such disciplines. It is only a select list, and more disciplines with the name informatics are coming up. Say, for example, archival informatics, bioinformatics, and perhaps you may remember even our university has got a department of bioinformatics and computational biology. Here you can just imagine, just think the overemphasis on computational aspects. Then biodiversity informatics, business informatics, informatics, that is informatics applications in the field of chemistry, community informatics. A lot of data about the community are being gathered, and its analysis, application of computer science in the analysis of data pertaining to community began to be called as community informatics. And then disease informatics, health science. A lot of, you just think of the pandemic, COVID-19, a lot of data was generated all over the world. And therefore, it required informatics, or the application of statistical and mathematical principles, or rather information technology applications, and that came to be known as disease informatics. Then eco-informatics, ecology is an emerging field, environmental science is an emerging field, evolutionary informatics, geoinformatics. I've got a center in the University of Kerala, geoinformatics, health informatics. Health informatics is developing like anything in Western countries. Health informatics, as I told you, health-related information. There is a lot of information, and its processing. That is the focal point of health informatics. Legal informatics. Same is the case with the law. So many judgments are being made in every sense. Legal informatics has become all the more important. Materials informatics, music informatics. There's different strands of music, and its scientific study. music informatics, neuroinformatics, social informatics, translational research informatics. Perhaps all of you, especially the students, may not be knowing what is meant by the translational research. Translational research is emerging as an upcoming field. Say, just to cite an example, even under the one of the engineering colleges, that is the Barton Hill Engineering College, is having a discipline. They have got MTech in translational research. What is meant by translational research? How to translate the developments in engineering for social development. This is what is meant, translation of the research in different disciplines to the development of society. This is what is meant by translational research. Various other areas are or have also started translational research in the respective areas. Perhaps you may wonder why I'm dealing with this so elaborately. This is just to tell you that these are all areas where information science people, while I say information science people, I encompass the communication people also, because information and communication are complementary to each other. Without communication, there is no information, and without information, there is no scope for communication. And that means people have got tremendous opportunities in these areas. That is why I have elaborately dealt with the various strands of informatics. And then another area where library and information science people have got tremendous opportunities is Scientometrics. Metrics, all of you know, that is the measurement. The word meaning of metrics is measurement. And bibliometrics is one of the first fields that emerged as part of, just like econometrics, or just like biometrics, or just like psychometrics. Bibliometrics also emerged in library and information science, that is especially concerned with the metric measurements. That is the measurement or the application of mathematical and statistical principles in the measurement of documents. But later that came to be known as Infopreneurship. And as a sideline, they are also developed Scientometrics. That is metric studies in the field of science. Science has made huge strides over a period of time. And I want to bring to your attention a big name in the field of information science. That is Derek D. Sola Price. J.D. Sola Price. This is his full name, Derek J.D. Sola Price. And in fact, he has tried to quantify the development of information over a period of time, right from the 16th century. 16th and the 17th centuries, much of the present-day disciplines, the origin of them can be traced back to the 17th and 18th centuries. And therefore, he started the study of the development of information, growth of information from the 17th century onwards. And that he found that growth is tremendous in the field of science and technology. And he has, with his studies in 1960s, he calculated that information in the field of science and technology doubles in every 15 years. That means that total information produced in a particular discipline doubles in every 15 years. That was the calculation made in 1960s. Now you can see that it doubles in every 5 years, or in certain disciplines, the information produced doubles in every 2 years. That is the spurt in the growth of information in different disciplines. And much can be said about the growth of information in different disciplines. We can also examine the history, the growth of information in the field of chemistry. And I'm not going into the details due to want of time. So the metric studies pertaining to science is known as Scientometrics. And Scientometric applications have assumed the greater significance in the present day because of the overarching influence of science in the development of societies. And as part of that, or as part of the Infopreneurship applications, certain other applications also became areas of interest to library and information science people. One is altmetrics. I told you about Infopreneurship, and that Infopreneurship is primarily focused on the written records of information. While I say written records, you know, what I mean is the printed records of information. But now, in the 1990s and 2000 at the beginning of the 21st century has witnessed a lot of communication, especially with the advent of social media communications. A lot of communication, including academic communications, are taking place through social media. But there is no mechanism by means of which the communication made through social media are measured. And therefore, there arose a new area which came to be known as altmetrics. Altmetrics, stands for alternative metrics. Informetrics was there even earlier, but it emerged as an alternative metrics, which came to be known as altmetrics. It's an upcoming area that itself needs much explanation. I'm not going into the details. Then came the network mapping. Network mapping. What is meant by network mapping? So, for example, is global collaboration, especially in the field of science and technology. Why I have emphasized science and technology is that these collaborative research studies in the field of social sciences and humanities, but it is very much less when compared to the developments in science and technology. So, for example, last week or in the beginning of this this month, the Department of Library and Information Science organized a series of webinars, especially using some of the world famous databases like Scopus. And it is found that Kerala University has got tie-ups with many other universities, many other countries, at least some 15 countries we have got tie-up, especially China. We have got association. Collaborative research projects are there. That means with developments in information technology, you can build up a network. That means a pictorial or what you call infographics. And perhaps the students who are not familiar with the term infographics, now this is the day of, this is the era of infographics. If you go through the newspapers, you can see several infographics, especially in the election scenario. For example, the change in the ruling parties in Kerala that can be shown in the form of an infographics. So that is what is meant by network mapping. And a number of softwares have developed which will help you to portray the network relationship between disciplines, etc. And another area where librarians are more focusing now, because the traditional role of libraries has been taken over, especially by information technology. So, for example, you can access information wherever such information is available. You can access information wherever it is available. If it is available in the internet, it has become all the more easy. There was a time when libraries were the only source of information. If you want to have some book or if you want to have some information, you have to depend upon the respective library. That scenario is over now. And there are a number of sidelined areas where librarians have to focus on, have to help the respective institutions in finding out the impact factor. All of you must be knowing what is meant by impact factor of journals. What is meant by H-index? That shows the quality of the contributions of an author. Ranking of publications, which is the best journal in the field of chemistry, which is the best journal in the field of communication or library and information science, which are the top institutions. We are all familiar with NIRF ranking and the similar international rankings. And that they try to rank the institutions based on certain yardsticks, certain parameters. So the librarians are now focusing more on these things. Technical writing, because that is an upcoming area which is very much prevalent, especially of interest to journalism students also, or communication students also. Then content management. As I told you earlier, much of the information is available in the digital formats. And definitely you have to take a role in the development of content in the form of digital information. And especially library and information science field have to take special interest in content management. There are several softwares like Joomla or WordPress or Moodle, where you can develop content and make it accessible to the needy. Electronic information sources. And this has become an upcoming area because much of the users of information may not be familiar with the different digital resources that are coming up in their area. And I have the experience of delivering hundreds of lectures to the teachers of library and information science, especially in orientation programs and refresher courses, just to familiarize them with the different electronic resources or digital resources that have come up. Because new information sources are coming up every day, and it is compared with the printed resources, some complication is there in effect making use of these sources. So that means librarians have to, this is a potential area where librarians can take up the role of popularizing the different digital information sources. Electronic publishing, the publishing scenario itself is changing. I'm not going into the details. The development of digital libraries. Many of the libraries are converting themselves into digital libraries. Here, libraries or library professionals have to take up the responsibility of arming themselves with the various softwares like DSpace or Greenstone, which are the digital library softwares. If you equip themselves with the skills, definitely they can turn out to be very good professionals in the upcoming society. There comes information literacy. Because of the complexities arising in the field of information literacy programs have to be given more trust. I have not, I am just dealing with certain areas, related areas of information science and technology. These are not the core areas, but these are all the related areas where library and information science people can find some application. You can play a certain role in all these aspects. One is knowledge management. I am not going to the definition of each and every of these areas. Electronic records management, intellectual property rights. Intellectual property rights, that is not the core area of library and information science people, but they have to be well versed with the intellectual property rights, especially copyright and patent rights. And same is the case with media people. Okay, IPR has assumed greater significance in the 21st century, because actually the quality of a country or the economic development of a country is definitely measured on based on the number of patents it produces, based on the mastery over or based on the ownership of intellectual property rights. Okay, therefore you have to be conversant with these things, where you can take up the responsibility of enlightening the users on intellectual property rights and web technologies. Without web technologies, without mastery over or without developing enough skills in handling web technologies, you may not be able to survive in the modern era, especially Web 2.0 technologies. Now, Web 3.0 technologies are also there. They are not so stable as Web 2.0 technologies. Portal development. This is an upcoming area where many people I know, some of my students have also specialized in portal development. Now, portal, I hope all of you are familiar with, all of you are familiar with the difference between a website and a portal. A collective of websites is called as a portal. A portal is one website, a comprehensive website through which you can have access to different websites. That is what is meant by portals. Many of the libraries are now engaged in developing portals so that they can give access to the related information to their clients. And then information curation. I will explain them later, what is meant by information curation. And same is the case with the digital preservation, and then information services through mobile apps. Mobile apps have all of a sudden, now you tell me your requirement and I can develop an app. When I say I am not capable of developing apps, but the prospective persons are there who are ready to cap up. You tell your requirement and an app will be ready within no time. And then another area where library science people can lay hands on is known as the maker spaces. I will deal with some of these technologies later, some of these developments later. Now, this to my topic, that is, I was just taking you as by way of introduction to the various ramifications of information science in the modern scenario. I just wanted to tell you that a number of opportunities are there where you can lay hands on. Why I am emphasizing, or why I have emphasized so much on the emerging frontiers of library and information science is that because our students, our people who seek employment are under the impression that they can have employment only in libraries. only in libraries. That notion has to be changed. This is what I want to emphasize. Now, what is meant by employability? When I use the term employability, which can be used in different contexts with different meanings. Here, I use the term employability, which is given as a definition, a set of achievements. Achievements include skills, understandings, and personal attributes. That makes graduates more likely to gain employment. These are the skill sets which will help them to gain employment. Not only gaining employment, but that will enable them to be successful in their chosen occupations. If you get employed, that will help you. Mastery over these skill sets will help you to be successful in the occupation, which benefits themselves, which benefits not only themselves, which benefit the workforce as a whole, as well as the community and the economy. Okay, that is what is meant by employability. So basically, it is a set of skills. It's a set of competencies, understandings, and personal attributes. I will go into a little deeper later. And this is what is meant by employability. These are the skill sets or the competencies that enable you to find employment. And these are the competencies that will help you to be successful in the chosen occupations. So employability has assumed a greater significance in the modern context. First, to remain competitive. I am skipping this because I think you can very well understand. Remain competitive in the era of drastic changes. And that will help you to achieve your goals. Say, for example, goal setting is very important in the modern setting. If you want to be smart, you have to set a goal first. And if you want to achieve your goals, you have to be employable. Your employability skills have to be sharpened, have to be strengthened. And that is also useful to enhance your education. For example, in the modern context where trend changes are taking place drastically, perhaps all of us know that change is the only permanent thing now. And not now, but even in the pre-Socratic area. And in fact, this was mentioned by Heraclitus, a philosopher who lived before Socrates. And he has mentioned that change is the only permanent phenomenon. So if you want to enhance your education, for example, older skills which you have imbibed from your schools, whether it is Department of Journalism and Communication or Library and Information Science, may not be enough for future, because it has been assumed that you have to update yourself every 5 years, or somebody has stated that your degree which you have obtained, or your hard-earned degree, becomes insignificant after 5 years. That means you have to continuously update yourself. So to enhance your education, it is all the more important. Employability is more important. And say, for example, many of the countries, especially the developed countries, started thinking of preparing the 21st century way back in the 1990s. This by the end of 20th century, they started thinking of the competencies to be developed in different groups of people. Say, for example, library and information science people, engineers, doctors, legal professionals, etc. All the different professionals have identified, and they have made special assignments, study about the skills or the competencies to be possessed by the respective practitioners in the 21st century. And in the field of library and information science also, the Special Libraries Association, otherwise known as the SLA, that's an American association which have got global ramifications. And this particular association was assigned with the task of preparing a report on the skills to be possessed by the LIS professionals. So the same thing happened in legal profession. Same thing happened in medical profession. Same thing happened in engineering profession, and in almost all professions. And we, in fact, have started thinking of it only by the beginning of the 21st century. And that is why the National Knowledge Commission was appointed by the Manmohan Singh government in 2005. Perhaps most of you may recollect, Sam Pitroda was the chairman of the National Knowledge Commission, otherwise known as the NKC. It was they were assigned with the task of making recommendations as to how to transform the Indian society into a knowledge society. It was the mandate of National Knowledge Commission. But they have finished the task by 2017, and comprehensive reports were given, but they are gathering dust, just like any other committee report or commission report in our country. We have not implemented, whereas the developed countries have assiduously implemented the recommendations. And as far as the library and information professionals are concerned, SLA has classified the competencies under two categories: the professional competencies and the personal competencies. Professional competencies encompass knowledge in the areas of information resources, mastery over information resources, information technology, information management, research skills, and the ability to use these areas of knowledge in your chosen area of activity, that is your employment. These are the professional competencies. They are otherwise known as the hard skills, which can be generally taught. Hard skills or professional competencies can be taught. That is what you acquire from a library school. That is what you acquire from journalism school of communication. These are the minimum skills necessary to do a particular job. And coming to the last, mastering the skills gives a professional advantage. The advantage of knowing what individual tasks are necessary to increase productivity. For example, if you want to function successfully in your chosen area, this will master you, it will equip you. So these are the minimum, they will equip you with the minimum requirements to do a particular job. That is why, I used to tell my students of library and information science, or whenever I get an opportunity to address library and information science professionals, that library schools will make you a generalist, not a specialist. A generalist means just like a physician, a generalist who can deal many of the things. If you want to work successfully in a specialized area, you have to develop necessary skills required for that. And that means you have to be very keen on attending training programs to update yourself. And then comes what is meant by personal competencies. What is meant by personal competencies? It is a set of skills, attitudes, and values. So it's not only a set of skills. Professional skills are a set of skills or competencies. Here, in personal competencies include attitudes and values also. Value addition is what is done as part of the personal competencies. They are also known as soft skills. Professional competencies are known as hard skills, whereas personal competencies are referred to as soft skills. It is the ability to relate and connect people. It's a sociological term relating to a person's EQ, emotional intelligence quotients. EQ. It is also related to IQ, but it is more like EQ. It is how can you contain yourself. It is how can you relate yourself with other people. Personal competencies are a cluster of sorry.
Hello, sir. I think we have lost connection with him. Let us wait for 2 or 3 minutes.
Can you see the slide now?
Yeah, we can see you, sir,
Yeah, yeah.
but not the slides.
Okay. Okay. Can I continue?
Sure, sir, sure.
Okay. Okay. Now, personal competencies. That is a cluster of skills. It includes personality traits, social graces, that is your personality, communication skills. That is all the more important as far as LIS professionals as well as media professionals are concerned. Communication skills. When I say communication skills, it is not only the writing skills, but the oral skills also. Okay, and the language skills, that the mastery over the language, personal habits, how you mingle with others, the etiquette, how you behave, your behavior patterns, your friendliness, your listening skills. In the 21st century, this has become a very essential skill, listening skill, because people are very impatient. People have got lesser listening skills. If you can develop that skills deliberately, you will be a much sought after personality. And along with that, negotiation skills and optimism. Negotiation skills, in this era of marketing management, negotiation skills have become all the more important. Negotiation. Okay, say for example, especially in the digital era, where much of the information is available in the digital format, if you negotiate, people will come down. For example, when you are subscribing to a database, that can reduce the price of the database to half if you negotiate effectively. Because I'm not going into the details because it may take much of our time. Now the soft skills, I'm just finishing off. Soft skills can be broadly divided into three broad categories. They are the corporate skills, employability skills, and life skills. Corporate skills, I am not dealing with that. I am just skipping because corporate skills are the skills required for the top-notch people, especially the higher management people. So I am not concentrating on that. I will straight away pass on to the employability skills because that is the topic today. Employability skills are the skills to be mastered by employable graduates and the freshers, especially the students who are undergoing the training program now. These include whatever makes graduates more likely to gain employment and be successful in their chosen occupations. So this is applicable not only for library and information science people, but to communication people also. For example, as I told you earlier, effective communication is number one. Teaming up, teamwork. Okay, your ability to teamwork, to associate with others and work as a team, that is more important. Because instead of individual islands, teamwork is gaining popularity. Especially modern day companies like Amazon are encouraging teamwork, and even in the IT companies, you might have heard about teamwork or project teams. They work as different project teams. Then comes the leadership skills, initiative, and drive. They are more important. Initiative, your enthusiasm to innovate things, experiment things. That is more important as far as a budding graduate is concerned. Then your problem solving skills. That means you have to be critical. If only you are critical, then only you can solve a problem. And then flexibility. In the modern environment, flexibility is more important. You can't be too rigid, because even in the field of science and technology, even though it is stated that science is 100% truth, there is flexibility. After some time, science will say, of course, it has got a different dimension also. What we said earlier was right, but it has got a different dimension also. This is why I said flexibility. You can't be so rigid. You may be right, not easy. There can be a different aspect or different dimension to your opinion. That is what is meant by flexibility. Don't be too rigid if you want to be successful in your profession. That doesn't mean that you have to be always so flexible to others, so amenable. No, you have to stick on to your ideas, but at the same time, be under the impression that there is truth on the other side also. Acceptability of others' views also is necessary. Then your enthusiasm and drive. Enthusiasm, initiative, enthusiasm, and drive are related to each other. Okay, these are more important in the the modern day context. I'm just going into certain details of the employability, specific employability skills. I'm just passing on quickly. ICT skills needs no emphasis. Communication skills, I have amply explained. Professional attitude. Professionalism is more important. In the modern day, professionalism in your approach, that is more important. Professional attitude. Good interview skills. Say, for example, you should have confidence. If you want to shine in your interview, you should necessarily have the confidence. That means you have to assess, or you have to carry out a SWOT analysis. Your strength, you have to assess your strength, you have to assess your weaknesses, you have to assess the opportunities, and the threats also you have to be aware of. Good interview skills. You have to highlight your success points, your strengths. Time management skills. This is all the more important in the modern day profession. Online searching skills, as far as library and information science people are, as far as media people are concerned, online searching skills are more important. You should have the competency to dig out information wherever it is available. Achieving professional goal. Achieving professional goal, also goal setting also, as I told you earlier, is important. Then problem solving skills, leadership quality skills. Of course, these things I have already mentioned. Good academic records. Okay, even though you may be very good in employability skills, you should have a good academic record. Then only you will be considered. Or if you want to be called for an interview, definitely you should have good academic records. You should have a good track record, and then you should have working experience. As far as possible, try to amass or try to acquire some working experience. Say, some of my students used to say, for example, everybody asks for experience. Without employing us, how can we have experience? Okay, there are 101 methods by means of which you can amass experience, but I am not going to the details here. Then planning and organizing skills, marketing skills, market oneself as well as to market the products. Marketing LIS services. Then marketing oneself is more important in the modern era. It has become all the more important in the modern context of prevalence of internet. Okay, computer science degree. If you have got, when I say computer science degree, I don't mean you should go for BSc computer science or MSc computer science or MCA or something like that. What you mean is your mastery over some of the computer programs. Okay, it can be acquired either online or by part-time courses. It will definitely improve your chances of getting employed. Say, for example, certain skills. As I told you earlier, say those library science graduates who have already studied DSpace or Greenstone, who are capable of developing a digital library on their own. Definitely. Last week also, I was just interviewing certain candidates, and the employer wants mastery over Koha. Koha is the library management software, which is used all over the world. Mastery over Koha, and surprisingly, I found that I had to select a boy who had undergone DCA, Diploma in Computer Applications. Of course, he has taken a computer science degree also. Of course, he has taken a degree in library and information science by distance education, but he was found to be good in handling softwares. That is why he was selected. So my piece of advice to the library science graduates as well as to the communication people is that whenever you get free time, get acquainted with some of the softwares related to your profession. As far as library science professionals are concerned, as I told you, library management softwares, especially open source softwares, and say, for example, reference management softwares, digital library management softwares, etc. Mastery over the regional languages and foreign languages. More foreign languages, the more will be your employability. Your chances of getting employed are more if you have got mastery over some of the foreign languages. Especially your employment potentiality will be more. Now comes the life skills. Life skills also form part of the soft skills, and they are also important. They are the skills related to your head, heart, hands, and health. 4H. Just think. I think you can understand what is meant by, when I say the organ, you can understand what is meant by the skills related to head, your thinking capacity, your intelligence, your heart, your empathy, your hands, your dexterity in handling things. Of course, above all comes the health. These are all skills which are highly personal. And if you are very good in these 4 aspects, definitely your employment opportunities are more. These are all the behavioral skills that reflect your personality and naturally helps in personality development. And the life skills, which I have already mentioned, many of the skills which I have already mentioned, I will just glance through them. Self-esteem, critical thinking, creative thinking, problem solving, decision-making skills, interpersonal communication, coping with emotions. I have already mentioned that that is EQ, coping with emotions. Then some people say are short-tempered. If you are short-tempered, you know, you are not going to gain anything out of that. Some people claim that, you know, some people boast that I am short-tempered. No, you can never be. If you want to get employed, you have to cope with your emotions. There are so many techniques by means of which you can contain your emotions. Then comes the listening skills, your empathy. You have to distinguish between empathy and sympathy. Empathy means your capacity to think in terms of others' feelings. That is what is meant by empathy. And stress management skills. This is very much helpful in coping with your emotions, and above all, the time management skills. These are important in the modern life skills in the modern context. Now, why I have emphasized these skills is that if you want to get employed, in addition to good results, for example, you may be first rank holder in your discipline, or second rank holder, or you may be gold medal winner. That will help you be called for interview. If you want to have opportunities, if you want to be employed, you have to possess these essential skills. That is why I have devoted so much time to emphasize these points. Now, let me come to the area that is the career opportunities of LIS professionals. Say, for example, as I told you in the very beginning, our students have got a thinking that once you study library or information science, or if you study communication and journalism, the only field is respective area. I can only work in library and information science. I want to shatter this myth. There are umpteen number of opportunities which you have to explore if you want to succeed, if you want to get employed. Okay, many look towards PSC as the old savior. There are umpteen number of opportunities. Say, for example, especially in the 21st century, you know, there are different opportunities are coming up. And one of the opportunities is as metadata analyst. It is ample opportunity. Those who are, I'm pretty sure that the library science people know what is meant by metadata. Even computer science people are very good in metadata. They are not as good as library science people. Since you have got a long tradition of handling catalog, since you have got a long tradition of handling documents and representing with the subject headings, okay, you are a good metadata. And if you can do it in the digital context, your employment opportunities are more. You know, especially in the context of digital data, you know, metadata has got tremendous focus. I will emphasize that afterwards. Metadata analysts can be found in a variety of settings, including banks, technical companies, and academic institutions. So perhaps you may wonder, what is the opportunity for a library science professional in a bank? And that the specific area is metadata analyst. They will call for metadata analyst. With your mastery or with your background in catalog preparation, you can shine. Perhaps if you have got mastery over some of the softwares, definitely there is a likelihood that you are chosen for that job. And for that, you have to develop expertise in Dublin core metadata element set. Dublin core, library science people, perhaps at least for the sake of an essay, will study what is meant by Dublin core metadata. And my advice is that you have to go beyond that. Beyond writing an essay on Dublin core metadata, try to understand how it can be practiced. Okay, and libraries and schools also have to change the practical pattern. Rather than writing a paper in a piece of paper, how to prepare a catalog, you have to do it online, and that will enable, or that will give confidence to the library science people to develop or to perform as metadata analysts. Dublin Core metadata is a standard metadata, and then EGMS, that is e-government metadata standard, and premise. These are all metadata standards. If you have got mastery over that, if you are good at it, you can serve as metadata analysts. And then another area of opportunity is digital preservation or digital library specialist. This I have already mentioned. Now, drastic changes are going on. Many of the documents are available in the physical format, that is in the form of books, magazines, and maps, and all-out efforts are being made to digitize them. All-out efforts are digitizing them so that everything can be made available through the internet or by some mechanism. So that is what is meant by digital preservation. That means you have to develop your expertise in not only digitizing things. Digitization, of course, is a mechanical process. Anybody can do that. That is a hard skill that you can do. Preparation of digital preservation is more important. Now, perhaps you may think once it is digitized, it is preserved. No, it is not like that. Digital preservation, as I told you, I want to bring it to your attention. This looks like an oxymoron. The oxymoron means a paradox. Digital preservation means once something is digitized, you may think that it is digitally preserved. That is not the sole purpose of digitization. The sole purpose of digitization is to retrieve them whenever you need it. Okay, so don't be under the impression that once something is converted into digital format, it can be retrieved, unless it is properly encoded, unless it is properly metadata are given. It cannot be dug out, or it cannot be opened out. And herein comes the role of digital preservation or digital library specialist. Okay, with your expertise in digital metadata management, you can be a good digital library specialist. That means you have to develop your own skills in digital library management, digital library development, in digital library management, and you can also acquire different specializations or different competencies. I'm just pointing it out, one of the useful sources from where you can get much information on digitization, digital library development, etc. Digital files sitting on hard drives or in clouds are digital orphans. Digital orphans, that I love that word because I don't remember who has coined that word, but I like it because once it is digitized, they are like digital orphans unless you are able to retrieve them. And how can you retrieve them? You can retrieve them with the proper metadata, with no one to watch over them and ensure their future. So only with the proper metadata you can retrieve them. And herein, library science people can excel. And here, Library of Congress, that is the world's biggest library, offers a number of digital preservation resources. You can have this from this site, that is www.digitalpreservation.gov, about resources, etc. So many resources are available. If you want to know, you can just log on to that site. Then, of course, there are tremendous opportunities. In India, this is only coming up. Now we have started giving more thrust on artificial intelligence and digital big data. Big data. I'm not going to explain because all of you are familiar with, as I have already told you while dealing with informatics, so much of data are developed in different walks of life, different fields, just like health informatics or something like that. And a lot of data is generated all over the world. Curation has become all the more important. What is meant by curation? To put it simply, it is something like cleaning, curation. For example, we have got a lot of iron ore, or ores of what you call silver, or ores of gold. And that means they have to be cleaned, properly cleaned, if you want to take out the exact metal. If you want to have gold, You have to dig out tons and tons of ores, and then you have to clean it. Information curation means clearing of information, or that is what is cleaning of information. There is tremendous opportunity for library and information science people. Much can be taught about that, and I can speak on for 1 or 2 hours on information curation itself. It is a potential area which is coming up in India also. And for example, with the background of say, for example, library and information science people, they have the research skills. Research skills means not in library science research. What I mean research here is to locating and discovering worthwhile information. Library science people have got worthwhile skills in digging out information, locating and discovering worthwhile information. And they have also got editing skills. Editing skills, of course, definitely media people also should have editorializing skills and classification skills, metadata skills. Classification skills means digging out data and providing metadata or data about data. That skill is there. That is taught as part of cataloging. And life cycle management skills. That also is very important. These skills, which form part of the library and information science discipline, you can be very good metadata analyst, and therefore you can excel in library information curation. Many of the library schools in developed countries, especially in America, have got started programs, especially 1-year diploma programs in data curation. And library and information science schools in India will also follow suit. That is courses on information curation. And then business researcher. That is another opportunity. When I say business researcher, don't be under the impression that only MBA people can do it. Because if you want to do business analytics, you have to be very good in metadata preparation, and thereby you can bring the related pieces of information to the business people, to the management. That is what is meant by business research. And then comes the special collections librarian. Special collections librarians are there. Say, for example, film librarians are there, and there are different collections are there, and map collection is there. Map librarianship is entirely different. Film librarianship is there. You can specialize. They need special techniques, which I will come to later. Technology coordinator. This is an assumed technique or assumed role in the modern context. Technology coordinator. Say, for example, library people are the first people to employ information technology in practical life, I should say. Say, for example, if you cite history, you can see that the first application of information technology, it was not information technology at that time, it was computer application. Computer applications was made in 1881 census of United States of America, and that was initiated by a library science man. Okay, anyway, libraries were the first to employ computers in as back as 1950s or 1960s, and therefore many technologies have found a place in libraries, and library information science people have to handle a number of gadgets as part of these, and therefore you have to assume the role of technology coordinator. And how can you assume this role? By preparing yourself, by acquiring more skills on different technologies, both hardware and software. And museum librarian. Say, for example, this is more prevalent in Western countries. In our country, museums are not given that much prominence. We have namesake museums here and there, but in Western countries, you know, museum librarian, there are courses which offer specialized training in museum librarianship. Here, you know, the type of training that is given to them is known as GLAM. GLAM stands for galleries, libraries, archives, and museums. GLAM, G-L-A-M, galleries, libraries, museum, archives, and museums. All of these 4 things require more or less the same training, and therefore GLAM training is given in many countries. Such a change is said to happen in our country. Then Chief Information Officer. Chief Information Officer, when I say, in some of the library, in some of the business schools, the librarian is designated as the Chief Information Officer. He has to be in charge of the management information system also. I don't know how many of you are aware of the management information system. Management information system is not the library. It is concerned with information that is required by the managers, the managerial staff. Okay, just to cite an example, IIM Kozhikode. IIM Kozhikode, the designation of the librarian was Chief Information Officer, and he was endowed with the task of developing a business museum for the IIM. Business museum. He visited all over the world, visited many of the business museums, and then developed one which is unique in the country. That is the first of its kind in any of the business schools. That is why I mentioned about not only the Chief Information Officer, but as an information analyst also. So if only you are, you develop certain interest in that, you can serve very much in those capacities. Law librarians and medical librarians require some additional skills. And since you are generalists, you can definitely convert yourself into the law librarian situation. And now in our country, law librarians and medical librarians are appointed from the general library, products of the general library schools. But that is not the case with other developed countries. Their specialized courses are there. So law librarian requires specific skills. And same is the case with medical librarianship. I am not going into, this is a potential area. Here, when I say medical librarian, medical records librarian also has to be taught. And now, many of the library science departments, not in India, but in Western countries, have started offering, in collaboration with the medical schools, the course on medical informatics. Medical informatics. Once you undergo this training program, you can be you can function definitely as medical informatics librarian. Medical informatics, and this is a potential area for library schools also. Recently, I was advising one of the private universities to start a course on medical informatics, because they have got an engineering, they have got a medical college, they have got a library school as part of that, and they can very well collaborate these two things and start courses on medical librarianship for the first time in the country. So that is a potential area. And then comes one of the major areas, that is the media libraries. Media libraries, you know, as far as newspapers, they were with us for decades together. Radio stations, televisions, and television. Say, for example, the media, the television media, and perhaps you may. I don't know, the media people may be knowing, but the library science people may not be knowing that there are more than 850 television channels in our country. 800, and just imagine, 850 television channels in our country. And even in Kerala, there are about more than 40 or 44 television channels of different dimensions, starting from Asianet, that is the biggest channel, to Kerala Vision or something like that. So why I am emphasizing television is that each television channel may have 5 or 6 librarians, but they are working throughout 24 hours. So every shift will have at least 2 librarians. And therefore, in one of the studies carried out 2 years back, it was found that even in Kerala, that is a study of the television channels in Kerala, the study revealed that the number of librarians range from 2 to 10. 2 to 10 librarians. One particular television channel has got 10 librarians who work in different shifts. Same is the case with film libraries, radio stations. All of them have got librarians. Newspapers, definitely I should not emphasize. So this is becoming a specialized area, and media librarianship is emerging as a specialized area of coaching or training, working as part of library schools. So these are all the areas. One thing, I have a piece of advice: if you want to shine as a media librarian, definitely you have to imbibe certain ideas. You have to have a familiarity with the specialist softwares made use of that. And if you get an opportunity to work in a television channel or in a newspaper as apprentice, don't miss that opportunity. Definitely that will be an added advantage, because the numbers are coming up every now and then. Now online channels are also coming up. Hundreds of online channels are coming up now. Okay. Finally, I want to emphasize on infopreneurship. what is meant by infopreneurship. Infopreneurship is an Infopreneur is an entrepreneur. Entrepreneur, നമ്മൾ മലയാളത്തില് സംരംഭകൻ, സംരംഭകത്വം, entrepreneurship എന്നൊക്കെ പറയും. Which specializes in the sale and the distribution of information and expertise, who develop their own products and market them and earn money. This is what is meant by self-employment എന്നൊക്കെ നമ്മൾ സാധാരണ in common language we call them as self-employment. But it is more than that. Infopreneur, it is not only self-employment, but you will be able to provide employment for others. That is what is meant by infopreneur. Entrepreneur, entrepreneurship, information plus entrepreneur. This is what is meant by the portmanteau word. Portmanteau means a conjoined word. Infopreneur. That means who can find a job by yourself. And especially in the era of internet, in the prevalence of internet, it has become all the more important because you can develop several products, sell their online knowledge information. Okay, say for example, this COVID era has brought a number of private channels, I should say, or what you call as electronic channels. Okay, and they are earning money like anything. Once you can prepare a YouTube video and put it, and if there are many takers, you know, definitely there you can earn a lot of money. You will get money from right from the YouTube. I just want to bring your attention to a person who makes a lot of money, Lakshmi Nair. Lakshmi Nair, you may be familiar with. That is, you know, cookery. She makes a lot of money because her cookery shows are so popular, which are available in the internet as part of YouTube, and the more viewers she has got, more money. So in such a scenario, infopreneurship has got tremendous opportunity for library science people. Only thing is that you should develop the necessary skills for that. Okay, this is details of that, and I am exceeding my time, and I will be finishing within a few minutes. And I am not going to the what are the steps in infopreneurship. I am not going to the details. I just want to showcase an infopreneur who started venturing into infopreneurship right back in 1990s. Or even before that. He was a master's degree holder in library and information science. At that time, nobody would think of jumping into the bandwagon of starting his own business. And now he is one of the successful business magnates in the country, who is posing a threat to even private database vendors like Elsevier. And the name is Informatics. That is a Bangalore-based company. And you can just see it is a content plus technology company committed to quality in publishing, delivering, and managing information. And perhaps at least some of you might have heard about his database JGate or JGate Plus, which has become so popular all over the world. And he has tremendously succeeded. I just want to show his picture also. His name is N.V. Satyanarayana, who is the chairman and managing director of Informatics. And he is doing so much service to the profession also, and because he has shown the way, and many people are taking up the responsibility of. And just to cite a small example, many people have approached to me. I have prepared a book. I've written a book in Malayalam, and I want to prepare an index for me. I prepared a few indexes when I was working earlier, and when I found some free time, I used to do it. And I approached some of the library science students, but they are afraid of it because in sorting in Malayalam is very difficult. You can't do it mechanically. In English, okay, anybody can do it. You can just input and you can sort them the way you like. But in Malayalam, it is not. So you have to do it manually, and you know, you will be paid handsomely. We will be paid handsomely. Some people are ready to pay because if book proves to be a very good success, you know, will pay handsomely for preparing the index. Sometimes I will do it free of cost. Okay, but this is one thing which library science people can very well take care of. Only thing is that you have to acquire some practice in that. Okay, so that is an example of infopreneurship, and I want all of you to, without waiting for the government job or without waiting for the private job. Say, for example, some self-financing colleges which will give you some 5,000 to 10,000 rupees per month. You can earn that much money or even more than that. And perhaps you may wonder why YouTube pays so much to these people, because that will be interspersed with advertisements. They charge hugely from the advertisements, and the more visitors to your YouTube, more you will be paid, or more handsomely you will be paid. So that gives tremendous opportunities for library science people to start their own business. And by way of conclusion, career development is the sole motto of these things, and you have to go out of the box. Out of the box thinking is also needed. Whether you can fit yourself, or you can just go through the naukri.com or similar databases, job portals, and see what are all the specialities required, expected of the library science people, because it has drastically changed, because the avenues for traditional librarianship are drying up, and therefore more and more avenues are coming up. You have to equip yourself with new skills, new competencies, etc. This is what you have to do, and these are some of the references which I have depended on for preparing this slide. And now, thank you for your. So far, it was a patient hearing, and now, if you need any clarification, please do come up.